Hello everyone and welcome to Week 2, Module 2 in Nursing 323, Health Assessment for Registered Nurses. So let's take the opportunity to go over Module 2 this week. We'll enter here. Alright, so this week in Module 2 we will be focusing on interviewing and health history. Next week you will have the health history assignment in Shadow Health that you'll need to submit. So we'll be focusing on how to complete an overall and comprehensive health history and interviewing your patient. Combining a health history and that subjective information is really essential when creating a differential diagnosis and providing holistic care to your patient that you can couple with the objective information, which is your physical exam. So here we do have an overview of Module 2 that I would like for you to review first. We do have some student learning outcomes here listed for you. Basically, these are some things that you should be able to understand by the time you finish this module. But next, let's focus on your to-do list for the week. So for this week, we do want you to read Chapter 4, Chapter 5, Chapter 6, and Chapter 7. Those each have specific health history components and then also certain types of assessment that you'll learn about this week that will help you with composing your assessment in Shadow Health. Essentially throughout the semester you will be talking with the virtual patient named Tina, and every week you will be completing some kind of an assessment with her virtually and asking her questions in the Shadow Health program. So when you go over these to-do lists and you review the weekly recommendations for activities, it's going to be important that you actually take the time to open these documents that we provide for you and that you read the text as well as extra resources, because it will be very helpful when you are composing your plan as well as your discussion and your interview techniques with Tina in Shadow Health. So for the first thing that we have here for you is a Jarvis Health History, a complete health history form. It's a PDF in Chapter 4. It's essential to helping you understand the key components of taking a health history for adults. And Tina, again, in Shadow Health is an adult patient, so you will be learning here in the complete health history how to do that with adults. There is a pediatric assessment in Shadow Health that you are welcome to complete if you would like to. I encourage it, of course, because I'm a pediatric nurse practitioner, but you will not be required to complete that as a part of this course. Next, you have the mental status assessment, and the mental health assessment is the component that you'll be doing this week. So you want to make sure that you're paying particular attention to your chapter on this in Jarvis as well as this PDF overview. It outlines the excellent key points here for doing a mental status assessment regarding health, and these are some things that you want to take into consideration when you're considering your discussion with Tina regarding mental health. Next, you have a substance abuse assessment. This is important to any patient that you would encounter for a comprehensive exam, and it's important because it may be something in real life that they wouldn't share that information with you unless you asked. So this Chapter 6 here outlines some key points also in a substance abuse assessment that will help you, and there are some incidences in Shadow Health with Tina where she does report a history of substance use. So it's important again for you to understand those key points in outlining for substance abuse and substance use. All right, next is the domestic violence assessment PDF here. And you know, this is got some excellent points for anybody, any woman or man. Okay, this is not just designated to women, but any woman or man as well as adolescents need to be assessed for interpersonal violence and interrelational violence. And of course, all children should be assessed for that as well if you learn that there are some interpersonal violence issues in the family. One really good way to ask that And you want to make sure that if you have the opportunity, you ask this to women or men alone, is just to simply say, do you feel safe at home? That is a quick way to do that. Even as a registered nurse now, you can do that with your patients if you have any feeling there may be a problem, or if you don't have a feeling. I encourage all students to ask this question, do you feel safe at home? It's a simple way, especially if men or women are alone, for them to communicate to you in an outside environment that they feel safe. And you would be surprised how many patients and or families have said to me that they don't feel safe at home. So that's just a simple way for you to assess that, but also, of course, pay attention to these key points outlined in Jarvis Chapter 7 for you. All right, so the submitted assignments that you'll be going to participate in this week, the first one is your discussion board. So your initial discussion post will be due by Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. and then we have you do 2 reply or response posts to your peers by Friday at 11:59 p.m. Important for you to recognize that discussion board is not something you do every week. There are only 3 discussions that you will participate in this semester. The first one is this week. So again, you want to participate in this case study discussion. All right, it is essential that you bring in resources, evidence, and or literature that we provided for you, or literature that you have found yourself to support your answer. Do not just answer this case study question without any support, because you really need to have the support from the evidence to provide an in-depth answer for us. The next assignment you'll be submitting is as I stated before, the mental health assignment. You can also, after you're completed the mental health assignment in Shadow Health, you can begin looking over the Shadow Health, Health History Shadow Health assignment, because that's a little bit longer assessment that you need to complete by next week. It's worth a little bit more as far as point value, and it will take you a bit more time to complete. So you want to be sure that you were looking at this health history shadow health assignment early in the week after you've completed your mental health assignment that's due this week. Again, when you complete the mental health shadow health assignment with Tina, be sure that you're paying attention to those components here that are outlined in the Chapter 5 mental health status assessment. Last thing we would like for you to start working on or continue to work on is your personal wellness plan. Again, this assignment is not due for submission until the end of the semester. Number 9 is not due until the end of the semester. However, it's imperative that you work on it throughout the semester. So when you're doing your weekly log and you're completing your goals, and you're essentially discussing what you will be applying to your health assessment of yourself, that's something you need to do week by week. It's not something really that you can make up. So you should be working on, again, as usual, your personal wellness plan each week to submit by the end of the semester. All right. These required learning activities are simply a repeat of the assessments that we have put here for you, just in a different place. The discussion board you can get to by entering this link, okay? And again, you each are assigned to a group, whether red, orange, purple, green, or blue. If you do not see your name listed in the group, do be sure to let me know. When you enter the discussion board, you'll find the case study questions in the discussion board link. This week, Module 2 discussion is listed here for you in the discussion board. This essentially outlines a case study of a 78-year-old white woman. And we ask some questions here regarding subjective and objective data, as well as just your thoughts and overall impression of the patient and some things that are very important to assess with this patient with regard to some of your learning this week. Make sure, again, that you use references, resources with citation to support your answer. And lastly, here you'll find information on your Shadow Health mental health assignment that we've reviewed a little bit, and then some information on your personal wellness plan. So with regard to the Shadow Health mental health assignment, you'll find information on what a single system exam rubric looks like, so how we will be grading this mental health assignment. Then you'll also find, again, the mental status assessment guide from Chapter 5. And then I've outlined some tips and tricks here for talking with Tina in virtual health. Let's open that up. All right, so you'll have some information here that basically lets you know that it's really important to bring in context whenever you're talking to Tina in your virtual clinic. So, one example may be if you're talking to her about her foot hurting, you don't want to say, does it hurt when you put pressure on it? You want to really focus on bringing the context in. So can you put pressure on your foot? Okay, see the differences between those two. One, you're really just focusing on what it is, which the computer may have a little bit difficulty responding to. But the other question you're asking is, can you put pressure on your foot? And that question would more likely be better responded to in the virtual health assignment, simply because, as any computer program, it is pre-programmed to be able to answer many questions, but using context in those questions are really important. Next, it's really important for you to use simple and direct questions. So, do you take drugs and do you take alcohol? You'd want to use those separately instead of combining those. I know that it seems kind of tedious, and the program certainly does its best to mimic a real-life situation, but again, it is a computer program, and it is made up of certain questions and responses, so you want to make sure that you are specific and direct. And as we discussed before, provide context for Tina. So, do you have any other hobbies would not be as good of a question as what are your hobbies and what are your allergy symptoms? Okay, so what are your symptoms? Do you have any hobbies? Those questions are not direct and they're not contextual. But what are your hobbies and what are your allergy symptoms? Provide that context and that directness that you need in order to best get those questions answered and applied in the program. There is a link here for you for Shadow Health. You all should have already been entered into Shadow Health, completed your digital clinical examination, follow through as well as that orientation, and then you should have completed your conversation concept lab. Regard to specifics with your personal wellness plan, we did already discuss that. There's a document here for you as far as creating a personal wellness plan. This is a guide for you. And then you also have a personal wellness plan rubric that you should be reviewing with regard to what's expected for grading criteria in this assignment. Again, your personal wellness plan is not due until the end of the semester, but it's something you should be working on each week as we go along. All right, I believe that's all that I have for you in Module 2, Week 2. As usual, if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. You can post your questions, again, if they are related to the course, under the discussion board forum in Class Cafe here. If you have any questions that are individualized, please feel free to email me, and have a great week.